A federal district court in Kentucky is blocking President Biden's attempt to expand Title IX to include protections for gender identity. This ruling is a victory for women, according to the Alliance Defending Freedom. Attorneys, as they propose changes, would have forced schools to allow biological men onto girls' sports teams. Joining us now is Kristen Wagner, CEO and President and General Counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom. So Judge Danny Reeves, who is the Chief Judge for the U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of Kentucky, in part wrote this in his decision, quote, "When Title IX is viewed in its entirety, it is abundantly clear that discrimination on the basis of sex means discrimination on the basis of being a male or female. As this court and others have explained, expanding the meaning of on the basis of sex to include, quote, gender identity turns Title IX on its head." Kristen, your 20,000 or 30,000 foot view of the ruling.
It's a tremendous win for women and girls across this nation. It's the first nationwide injunction that has been imposed to stop the Biden administration from forcing a national mandate on all federally funded schools to violate the rights of women and girls.
So what, in essence, do you think this is going to mean? It's a U.S. District Court, so it should apply across the country. But clearly, ACLU, other organizations will likely go to the appellate court to try to get this overturned. The Biden administration is out in 12 days. Less than that. My math is terrible. But the Biden administration will be out in a little while. They may not have time to pursue it, but certainly other organizations will.
Yes, there are issues. This issue is coming up in a wide variety of contexts, but I think it's important to recognize the significance of the court's decision, because had the Biden administration won in this instance, it would have wiped out about half of the laws in all states protecting women and girls. It would have just eviscerated them, as the judge found. While the ruling will go up on appeal, it's also important to recognize it hopefully stops this ping pong effect that we're seeing between administrations, where the rights of women and girls are subject to whatever administration wants to do on this issue in defying biological reality and using the power of the federal agency. The ruling will hold. And I also think it's important, as you point out, to recognize that we want to ensure that we're stopping the bad guys from doing the wrong thing and protecting the good guys as they're doing the right thing. So it protects good state laws, but we have to keep fighting those states and the ACLU in other actions.
Well, when Title IX was first enacted, it was to protect the rights of women in education and in other items. Didn't specifically spell out sports, but what critics say is that the rewriting of Title IX, and it went from a handful of words to, I think, 1,500 words, or no, maybe it was 1,500 pages. It was a long rewrite of Title IX. What it basically did was it gave biological men the same rights as women in women's education and sports. And people say that just basically took Title IX, not only turned it on its head, but pretty much erased it.
It did. It made gender identity the new sex. And essentially, if you read the regulations that were put in place in Title IX, you also read the congressional record and the number of times that Congress addressed Title IX, it made very clear that it meant male and female. There are significant exceptions in the law that recognize our right to privacy in our locker rooms and in our showers. And the Biden administration sought to undo all that with the swipe of a pen. This ruling stops them from undoing it. And it's also significant to note, John, that there was a compelled speech problem in the regulations. It was seeking to force students and teachers to use wrong pronouns and to embrace something that they believe to be false in terms of those who are identifying as the opposite sex. So the court ruled it also violated their First Amendment rights.
All right. Well, so that's the ruling from the Eastern District of Kentucky. We'll see what happens in terms of a challenge to it. Again, it likely won't come from the Biden administration DOJ, but somebody is likely to challenge it. Kristen, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.